Does that help you with the focus? You're still sitting at this table.
I came back. I came back to the dark side.
And I tried to get her away, tried to.
I almost said her name. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Now you're committed to it. Yeah. Yeah. I tried to learn you right. It just didn't work.
I know. You know why I give you $1? No pit. Okay.
Since Taylor is recovering from some surgery,
is it
so we're
two?
going to have to do this a cappella this minute. We're going to sing God Bless America. Somebody with better pitch than me. Can you start us off, please?
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Pete Roberts here for our invocation.
No.
Okay, let's bow our heads. Lord, we ask your blessing for the breakfast we've enjoyed this morning. Please bless us during this time we share, and may we be ever mindful of your will and our duty towards our goal of service above self. Amen.
Amen.
Alexa, would you like to introduce visitors and guests, please?
Mr. Douglas, we have a guest. His name is Steve Douglas, and he's a prospective member.
Welcome, Steve. Glad to have you with us. I'd also like to recognize Irv Keister. Irv, are you here this morning? Yes. If you just stand, please. Irv is our newest member, so everyone please extend a kind welcome. Just a couple of quick things before we get to other announcements. Thank you to all of the Swedish hosts and those who participated in the programs with our R&D guests. Gary and Dee, you guys did a great job coordinating everything. It's like a duck, right? Looks smooth on the surface, but you're kicking like hell underneath. So really appreciate all the effort that you guys put into that. For those of you who were lucky to come to the Kentucky Derby party on Saturday night, we owe a big thank you to Don Blows and his wife Wanda, to Valerie Deneen, to Mark Earl, to Bryce for all of his planning, to Craig and his wife. You guys did a great job putting that together, and I think our guests had a wonderful time. Thank you very much. How could it not be a great thing? Because I think everything there had bourbon in it in some I also wanted, I highlighted this in the newsletter, but I just wanted to mention for those of you who didn't see it, that the district had a photo contest about Mad Day. And they had 3 different categories to submit photos with a caption, and then they awarded a Best in Show. And our club, with John Chiska's help, submitted 3 photos, one in each category. We won 2 of the categories, and we also won Best in Show. So that resulted in a gift of $200 to the Rotary Foundation in the name of Emmaus Rotary Club by the district. So that was really cool. The pictures, though, were taken by John's friend, Jessica Free, who I sent a note to yesterday to just make her aware of this. And she sent a kind note back. She said, "Hi, Bert, thank you so much for your kind words, including and allowing me to photograph the special events that you guys put together for Make a Difference Day. I was honored to be a part of it and for your recognition. I know there were so many special moments captured that day, and I vividly remember being overwhelmed with emotion because I know what you guys did truly did make a difference." So that was very nice of her to write back and to acknowledge that. But thank you, John, for coordinating all that and for the recognition that the club got and the support to the foundation. Mark, you want to make an announcement?
Yes, I think this will be the last announcement before our motorcycle event on Saturday. The weather forecast looks great. So even if you're not riding like the rest of the bikers in the club here, please come on out for the luncheon or the live music event afterwards. So if you came out around 12:30, 1 o'clock, you'd be able to catch a meal and hear some live music from 1 to 3. Everything is shaping up very nicely. We had a meeting last night at Lisa's house. 5 of us bikers attended that. That was kind of neat. But yeah, all the, just the last minute details and everything's lined up with the banners and the promo glasses and advertising and this and that. So should be a really great event. First time we're doing it. 100% of the proceeds going to Keystone Warriors supporting veterans and their families here in Pennsylvania. So thanks for everybody's support and involvement. We hope to see you out there Saturday.
Hey Mark, you might want to mention the music, who's presenting?
Yeah, James Supra with Sarah Ayers is going to be playing. So they're a pretty well-known band here in the area. And if you want to get more details on the event or even pre-register, which you're welcome to do, just go to pokerrun.emmausrotary.org. So our website would just pokerrun, 2 R's on the front end of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Bob.
As you notice, there's a few beer can tabs up here. Thanks to all the Rotarians, that's what we collected since September. I'll be turning them in this Saturday to the Miracle League. Of course, we're starting all over again. That's 5 gallons of bins of tabs. My 3 grandchildren and I ate all the food that came in those jugs originally. There's a card circulating around for Sue Strader. Please sign it and get it up to me. I'll mail it today. When you just think there's nothing else you can brag about your grandchildren, last night at 9 o'clock, Peyton Halsey was one of 3 students from Exeter High School being interviewed on TV from Reading, and she had 10 minutes of conversation. She was like a pro. She didn't stumble her words. She smiled at everything. She thanked them. So she did good. So I have some money I'm going to put in $5, but one of the dollars is a sad dollar for Tom Devine. I visited him yesterday. I haven't seen him for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, I guess. And his problems have extended now to ALS in his arms and his hands. He can't eat. He has to have somebody feed him. He had to have the maid that works for them full time now hold the sandwich while he took a bite, and it was, I couldn't look at it, but the mind is good, everything's working fine, but apparently not going to come back. He can't lift anything. He drank his soda with a straw out of the can. So he's struggling, but you would never know it when you talk to him. So think of him a lot. He really doesn't want a lot of visitors because it's a little embarrassing when he eats and somebody has to feed him. But unfortunately, that's just the next phase of his life. So say a prayer for him. Thank you.
Bryce.
Just one quick announcement. I'm looking at it to make sure I don't mess it up. The recognition dinner will be June 20th at Bear Creek, starting at 5:30, going probably till 2, 3 in the morning to celebrate birthday. It's $25 per person adult, $10 for kids aged 3 to 16, and then if you're crazy enough to bring a child under 3, which I'm not, so I'm leaving my kids at home, it's free for anyone under 3. So keep alerts and announcements in the newsletter and all that stuff. So it should be a really good time to celebrate Bert and recognize other ones in the Emmaus.
That was June 20th?
Wednesday, June 20th, starting at 5:30 at Bear Creek. So it's a buffet style dinner and cocktails and all that good stuff. And there's a cash bar.
There'll be no meeting on
yes.
Thursday morning, so that'll be our
Yes.
meeting that week.
Yes, thank you. That's, yeah.
Steve?
Yes, and if you actually read the trumpet when it comes every week, that's been on there for about a month that we don't have it during the day. But Lex, I don't know if you updated that that night.
Steve, there's a
Yeah, it's
major
updated.
article
Is
about
there? Right. So like I said, if you read the newsletter, and I just wanted to take mention. Really excited for what Mark's and the committee is going to pull off here on Saturday. I think it's going to be a neat event.
Are you coming?
I'm sorry that I have to be in a closed room doing PETS training for my upcoming presidency. So I would rather be strapped on the back of a bike, to be honest with you. Did I just say that?
Yeah.
Are you filming right now? I did want to mention though, because we've had about a week of 70-degree weather, so I'm starting to shine my golf clubs up. I have had a couple people reach out to me and ask how they can get information about the golf tournament. I just want to remind everybody, it's very simple. www.ercgolf.com. Emmaus Rotary Club Golf.com. It's all there through an Eventbrite. I think it's Eventbrite, man, right? Or it's one of those sites. But all the sponsorship levels are there. All the information's there. If you ever feel yourself in a bind or you're talking to somebody, just throw out ercgolf.com and it should do the trick. More to come on that later. And good luck, guys.
Bryce, you said all those under 3 go free that day? Okay, just so you know, Steve.
Oh, all right.
Gary.
Yes, yes.
So Saturday before the Kentucky Derby outing, there were a bunch of us out at Canals House cleaning up for a picnic that's going to be this weekend. Thanks everybody who came out. It was really appreciated. We got a lot of work done, and I think we were there an hour and 15 minutes tops, and we pounded out. We raked the whole yard where they're going to put the tent and around the house and cleaned up, so it looks great. They were very thankful for that. I appreciate that. So mark your calendars. I did send an email out the 26th. We are going to be up on South Mountain. Got to clear some brush for the Wildlands Conservancy, and then we're going to plant 25 of those saplings. I really don't anticipate this being all that much, but just like on Saturday, more hands makes it go quicker and much easier. So if you can make it, please email me, and then that way I'll know my head count. But it looks like we're a go for the 26th. So thanks everyone.
Do you have a time?
Yeah, do you have a time?
I do not, but it's probably going to be early. I mean, if I get the schedule, it'll be early. I prefer to do it earlier.
Any other announcements from the floor? I just want to mention 2 other things. Some of you know Chris Horniman had heart surgery yesterday. From all the news that I got from Dee, who sent a message to a few of us, surgery went well, the repair was successful. So we can thank God for that. Hopefully Chris will be with us within a couple of weeks. He said he would have a few happy dollars. So I'm sure you all were interested in that. The other thing is, Mike Waddell was kind enough to pass along to me the obituary for Carl Gingrich, which I missed in the newspaper. Just so you're aware, you can mark your calendars, Friday, May 25th, which is the Friday leading into Memorial Day weekend, there will be a memorial service for Carl at the Emmaus Moravian Church at 7 o'clock that evening. We'll make plans as a club to enter the building together as we normally do. And I'll be announcing more plans about that as the date gets closer, but I wanted you to be aware of that. Okay. There's no other announcements. Gordon, you want to do the raffle, please?
$428.
My dues are till June 30th. Can I just pay 37 times 2? Can I give you 2? Or is it easier to keep it? You'll send me another. Do you send invoice? Okay. I'm just worried that I forget.
Oh, I will. It's 110 every 6 months. Then I just prorate it.
Okay.
So then that was the
Don,
invoice you
ready
sent me.
to start the arm? Happy dollar funds.
I wore this hat in honor of
trumpet and saw the ostentatious hats that they had on at the Derby, I thought, well, you know, why couldn't I wear something? So I'm hoping that somebody's got the nerve to take a picture of me like this. It's her hat. So anyway, also, I thought it would, it would be a good time to really start to find out whether or not my protege is really paying attention to being sergeant at arms. And Don, if you would come up here and take a look and see what my pin says and tell the club.
10-6.
No, read the words.
Pin here.
Yeah.
There's no words. There's a number 10, there's a slash, and there's a 6.
Morgan, get up and read this.
I can't read.
What does it say?
10/6.
It says Mad Hatter.
Ah, it's a Mad
I'll tell you, you know, I mean, how many times have you been fined for ostentatious ties, Bill Erdman for ostentatious shirts, Bob Halsey for wearing his American flag pajamas on occasion, J.P. Raynock for wearing his 7th grade sport coat. How bad can it get? So, I just wanted everybody to be aware that the little grasshopper here has a way to go yet.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to keep you on your toes, all right?
I hope so, yes.
Thank you.
Definitely. So there's a couple people leaving early. I want to remind you the fine is $2. So for new members who are unaware of that, if you're missing a pin, please receive it, Morgan and Herb. If you're missing it, like John and a couple people are today, it's a $2 fine. If you're leaving early, it's a $2 fine, and I would hope you would come to me and tell me that. I don't want to chase you down in the middle of the program that you're leaving early. Okay? Steve.
What?
Is that a guest next to you? I haven't seen that guy. Is he brand new to the club?
Yes, I'm a guest.
You're a guest. Okay, well then, he pays the $2 or you should, no, $2 for you for not being here for a while.
Thanks, Sergeant.
JP was late. He's gonna be running up a tab, he said.
Actually not. I have a just say no to fines card.
No, they're no good anymore.
I saved mine.
Today's the last day we turn one of those in.
I thought it was last week.
Well, I have to go with my mentor. He said today, so we're gonna let it go.
Mine is it. Memento.
You're gonna keep yours as a memento, that'll work.
Yes. I have it laminated.
That's a bogus card.
It's not a bogus card.
It
It's on
doesn't
the
have-
official Dale Drees.
Business card.
It is.
What's it say in the back? Can you read that?
10/6.
It says, it's October 16, and it's Drees Do-It Center, Dale Drees, President.
Well, that's a fine.
Yeah,
Hey, wouldn't that be a fine for advertising?
Absolutely.
So then the fine goes to JP for advertising Dale?
You can't be fined for advertising other things, otherwise the entire golf committee program falls apart.
Okay, very good. Well, then we'll go right to Happy Dollar. I'm gonna be the first to put in for Saturday night for my wife Wanda and for Craig's wife Sue for running the kitchen for that event.
I have $3 to brag about my daughter Tina's 3 children. The oldest, Carter, was elected to be Student of the Month in the 6th grade in the Aya High School. And he just got back from playing the cello at Messiah College, nice achievement. His sister, Ella, got straight A's in the Willow School and received a nice letter from Dr. Moyer. And so did her little brother, Jason, who received straight A's and received another letter. The kids really enjoy those letters and it means a lot to them. Thanks.
Yeah, I have $5 happy. I spent the weekend at a travel and tourism meeting down in Playa Harris, Mexico. We have a local club, we comprised of 30 members in the travel and tourism business in the area. And we were one of 4 clubs. There's clubs from all over the United States, and our club was one of 4 finalists for Club of the Year 2017. We lost to Honolulu, but it wasn't too bad. And then I also was lucky enough to win a all-inclusive 5-day, 4-night with their prize to go back down to Playa Harris, Mexico. So good deal. And today I'm going up overnight to sail on the Adventure of the Seas in Bayonne.
Well, I have $2, even though my ostentatious hat didn't win on Saturday. It was a great event, and we had a good time.
Good.
I am very, very happy that Chris Horniman's surgery went so well. We were all, praying for him and everything. Unfortunately, it worked out really well. I'm also very happy that the Swedish Friendship Exchange, the whole program went very smoothly. As Bert says, duck above water, but anyhow, it actually ended Monday of this week when I, as well as Rick Zayas and Alicia and Mike, took our guests to AB Airport to see them off. So it was all good. So thank you.
Gary, next to Gary.
All right, so I have $2 happy. If you aren't aware, I also do off-ice official for the AHL over at the Phantoms. And driving in this morning, the Phantoms are in the Calder Cup playoffs, and on the drive in this morning, I found out the Phantoms are playing down in Charlotte right now. Last night they went into 5 overtimes. Wow. They won, and it was the longest Calder Cup game ever. And I'm happy it wasn't here in Allentown. No.
I know. Joe, I'm raking it in at $1 happy. I'm okay.
I've got $5 happy. I'm going to be in North Carolina all the next week and Florida the following week. And no, I'm not a travel agent. So just in case you missed me.
Mark?
I'm going to be leaving early, unfortunately. My apologies to the presenter. But I also want to just harass the club a little bit because I brought 4 liters of bourbon and 5 gallons of minted simple syrup to this Kentucky Derby event, and they didn't even crack the second bottle of bourbon open. So I'm hoping for the club recognition dinner, there's a little more commitment.
Bring it to the breakfast.
So Chishka wasn't there then?
I have $50 that Eileen, Rick, and Steve will appreciate. Thank you, Dale, for leading the trumpet. The editor has learned how to do pictures, so you might want to look at it.
Hey! Well, not bad, 6 months into it, Lex.
I've got $20 happy. Wow. A little time to fill up here. First thing is, you all know that I missed last week's meeting, and I want to thank Alexis for collecting the food for the meeting. The reason I missed the meeting was because I had outpatient surgery at St. Luke's Hospital, and it was back on my back, and it was very successful. Got rid of a whole bunch of crap back there, and the stay in the hospital was wonderful. I mean, they took good care of me, and I was out by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which was great. So I was very happy about that. But I did miss Bruce here, who announced his birthdays in the month of May, and I want to say happy birthday to Steve Gould, who has the same birth date as I do. But I learned my date of birth clarify, when you're in the hospital, everybody asks you about every 5 minutes. So it was 5/9/31. And yesterday, I turned 87. Out of the Lewis male family that I knew about, my grandfather, my fathers, and so forth, I had 2 grandfathers pass away at 85. My father passed away at 86. So I made it, so far, I made it a year ahead of them. I'm do the best. I know I'm probably about the 2nd oldest in the club. And my friend Wilmer, he's my mentor. And if I can ever catch up to him, I would love it. Thanks, everybody.
Speaking of crap, I too was at St. Luke's for a colonoscopy the other day. Everybody to know that everything turned out okay. Contrary to popular belief, I am not full of. Also, I want to make a mention about this Just Say No to Fines card from JP. That is not my handwriting on it. That is fraudulent.
Insurance fraud.
Yeah, look at that first line in the 4-way test.
Number one, I would never fraud your card. You gave that to me and said, write that up as a Just Say No to Fines card. I haven't made any more pictures up. And I am truly cut to the quick that you would ever think I would do something. I've been a member of this club for 19 years, and that you would even think that I would. No, I'm serious as a stroke. That's a terrible, terrible thing to say about another man.
Hey, listen, when you get to 47 years, tell me about it.
Good, one more, Steve.
Yeah, well, I'll go off of that. Ralph, happy birthday, bud. Glad you made it another year that we could share a birthday together. I'll give $5 for that. And statistically, I'm not the 2nd oldest, but I would say I'm now officially half the age of Wilmer. And that's a compliment, I think.
For whom?
For Wilmer. Go ahead.
Okay, so yesterday I booked a 3-day sea kayaking trip in Maine, so I'm super excited about that with a girlfriend that I haven't seen in years. So we're gonna go off. There's apparently no showers or anything. I come back on a Wednesday, so I promised to shower before I come back to Rotary Thursday morning. So it's supposed to be very exciting, seals, ospreys, all kind of cool wildlife. So I'm really excited for that. I've never been to Maine, so it should be fun. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
one more, then
One more.
to our speaker.
So we're just
July.
$5 of the fine, as my college strength, but I'd like to take $5 of recognition. I'm on the program committee. Having missed most of the meetings, I feel like a member, but I want to say congratulations to Mark for the idea and the tremendous amount of work he's done. He's so involved in the emails and stuff. He's put a tremendous amount of time into it. I just want to acknowledge that.
Turn it over to Steve to introduce our speaker. Good morning, everyone. Our speaker today is not an unfamiliar face to everyone who's been here several times. It's my honor to introduce Christopher Greb. Chris is the operations manager for the Macungie Ambulance Corp. He's also a volunteer firefighter in Northampton, where he lives. He's got 2 children, married, 2 children. Yep. And I think that's all that he wanted me to say. So, Chris, take it away.
Thank you. Do I need this?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I need that? All right, there we go. I'll do my best. They told me I have exactly 55 minutes, right? So we're good to go? Yeah. So, brevity is never my strong point, so if someone needs to give me the hook, you just let me know, okay? I came back today, first to thank you for the donations over the years, recently the stair chair. We were trying to figure out what it was 3 years ago. Does anyone remember what it was? We thought it was some kind of books or something that you got for us, but couldn't recall. In any case, I thought, you folks do so much for us in the community, I wanted to let you know a little bit about us. And I'm going to start by talking a little bit about emergency medical services in general. So when someone has an emergency, they call 911. Oddly enough, right? So 911 is actually directly for Lehigh County. It's catty corner to the PPL Center on one of the white building there on the corner, and that's staffed by the county. They are currently in the midst of absorbing the city of Allentown as well. So they are a big hiring. If you have any folks that are interested, they're continue to hire up. to take on the City of Allentown dispatching, which was separate, and in the next year or two, they will now be merged through some legislative initiatives. So that call then is put into a computer system, and based on that, and based on who the municipality chooses to serve, they send resources, police, fire, EMS, whatever that resource may be. We are one of those resources. Our organization, Macungie Ambulance Corp, 501c3 nonprofit, covers 5 municipalities: Lower Macungie Township, Macungie Borough, Albertusboro, half of Upper Milford, and a third of Lower Milford. We respond to about 3,600 calls a year. Our service has grown exponentially over the years, and that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today. So, back in 1955, our organization started. We responded to 55 calls for service from what the records show us back then. That's our first ambulance there. We were actually in the Macungie Firehouse before Macungie Fire Department was. From 1955 to 1985, EMS across Pennsylvania, across the country, was very similar. Normally, an old hearse was used to take people to the hospital, and someone would call, someone. So here in town, it was Harry Buchan's shop. They would call there, and we helped him clean his shop. Behind his stairwell that went upstairs, there was a button that set the siren off at Town Hall, and there was 4-digit phone numbers that he would call when someone called his shop to call the ambulance. And a lot of times the postmaster, which his name is passing me right now, would run over to the firehouse, jump in the ambulance, and away they would go. So that's what I know about 1955 to 1985. 1985, I didn't start here, but that is when emergency medical services started to mature across the country. They passed the EMS Act in Pennsylvania, which required training, required staffing requirements, required equipment on what was then hearses, and eventually led to no more hearses. So 1990, our organization, and our history is very similar to many organizations around here. Emmaus, I think, is just a few years older than us. Citroni is exactly the same age as us. A very similar history. In 1990, our organization realized that, with the EMS Act, we started billing for service, insurance companies, and we needed some help doing that. So we hired our first administrative employees. We hired 3 people. 2 of them are still here today. So Ann Chuck and Martha Herring were with us for 28 years each, and they continue to serve in that billing role, administrative, make sure we do everything we need to do. In 1992, we moved out of Macungie Borough. So our name is Macungie Ambulance Corp, but in 1992, 26 years ago, we moved out of Macungie Borough. We moved into Lower Macungie Township. It's the annex on Indian Creek Road, where the sewer trucks are and the public works stuff. We rented a little space out of there, which oddly enough was rented by Domino's before us, but whatever. So then in 1998, again, history very similar in many EMS and fire service, at least EMS. Volunteerism, we started to see the slow decline already back then. And during the day, we were having trouble responding to calls. And they hired the first folks to work on ambulances. I was the first guy hired to work on an ambulance. I beat somebody by about 3 hours, so I like to say that. So I started here in April of 1998. And we responded to 886 calls that year. As we continued to grow, in 2000, we added a 3rd ambulance. This is a picture of 3 ambulances, not our first 3 ambulances, but 3 ambulances. On a more recent, this obviously road probably wasn't even there in 1998. That's the bypass, or in 2000. In 2005, we built the station we're currently in. We're behind the Buckeye Tavern. The Buckeye Pipeline donated the land to us. The township helped with some easements and things like that we had to get through, so that there was no taxes involved in that. And we built the station we're in today. In 2006, we responded to just about 2,000 calls, and we began offering advanced life support. So there's really 2 main levels of EMS ambulances in Pennsylvania: basic life support, advanced life support. Basic life support takes care of fractures and can start treatment for chest pain, trouble breathing, things like that. Advanced life support comes with the cardiac monitor and medications and things like that. So before that, we would respond and someone else would respond with us. It was Citroni for years. Emmaus went advanced life support a year or 2 before we did, maybe 3 years. And then just for many reasons, both patient care and business-wise, it makes sense to provide advanced life support. Sending 2 ambulances to every call, which is what we did there, is just not very efficient. So in 2008, we added our 4th ambulance, and we added a rehab unit. It's our special operations unit that goes to numerous different places throughout the region. We go about 40 times a year on large-scale incidents. In 2011, we had our supervisor's vehicle, so I can come out and do things like this. 2017, we added a 5th ambulance. We We did a building expansion. I have a picture of it here at the end. So we now have, if you look at the front of our building, there's 6 bays and there's 5 out the back. So we can park 11 vehicles inside. It's our newest ambulance, and this is just when the building was kind of getting finished up here. This is kind of our linear call volume. Again, about 3,600 calls for service. Not only has the volume increased, but our coverage area has increased. So as other agencies have struggled, Lower Milford Township closed a couple years ago. We started helping them out a little bit. When I started, we didn't cover all of Lower Macungie Township. We now cover all of Lower Macungie with the exception of parts that are very, very close to Emmaus where it just doesn't make sense. This is our volume. Obviously, Lower Macungie is our biggest call for area for service, but everyone, we go everywhere. Anyone they call, we come. Our annual operating budget, basically, we are about $1.5 million per year organization. People always say, well, where do you get all that money? Oddly, you should ask. 80% of the time, it's income for service. Insurance companies paying for the service that we provide, taking someone to the hospital. About another 14% of that is our annual fund drive. So we send out a letter, says, would you like to donate to us? If you donate, and your insurance has a copay, we'll waive your copay. Specifically very useful for Medicare patients, because you always have a 20% copay. Becoming much more interesting as higher deductible plans have come and Medicare Advantage plans, where some of them are really, really, really paying less and looking at us to write off a whole lot more for our subscribers. So from a business standpoint, over the last year to 3 years, we've started to really, subscription program still makes a lot of sense. It still is a major part of our funding, but it's becoming a little more difficult. We have to continue thinking about how we can do that. Many EMS agencies are doing the same thing we are, looking at exactly how to make sure that remains viable. On top of that, we have about 2% general miscellaneous there, and then we get some direct donations and grants, and some municipal support. So each municipality we serve donates something to us every year to help provide the service. That's generally around $1 per resident, is kind of how it works out more or less. So in Lower Macungie Township, there's 32, something like that. We get a $25,000 donation. Kind of evens out about like that. So many people think, our taxes pay for us. Well, your Medicare taxes pay for us. Your local taxes only pay for us a little bit. So this is our organization. This is actually not before the building. It's not all the vehicles. I got a better picture later. But we have 11 full-time operational folks, then the 2 office staff, 2 supervisors. We have a community outreach coordinator, actually just resigned. She moved on to another job, so we're just replacing her. And then altogether about 50 folks. Said all that right there. This is our vision. Our vision is to provide the highest quality community-based care. Everything we do is quality and community-based. It's much easier to be little and good than to be big and good. So we're relatively big, but we're not too big. There's many of these multi-state organizations. It's very hard to provide the service we have to come out to a Rotary when you cover a whole state. You know what I mean? So, how am I doing on time? Am I okay? You're great. I'm great. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So EMS lives in this weird thing. We are public safety. That's what most people think of us as. Call 911, we come. But we are also public health. You know who the public health nurse is for Lower Macungie Township? Neither do I. So the point is that when we talk about these dangerous, difficult things, Ebola and all these emerging things, we really are the front lines of those. So in a city, a lot of times you have more resources. So EMS is kind of a component of public health. And then you have the healthcare system. Who pays for us, the insurance companies, pay for us to come out for 911 calls. So when there's a car accident on the street corner, and no one's hurt, but someone called 911, or there's a house fire, and we come out, and we help the firemen, someone has to pay for that. Like we need to have the ambulance available and staff. But the healthcare system really pays for that. So EMS lives in this weird world where we kind of have to answer to 3 different roles. How do we do that? We do it through this as our 3 divisions, with the 4th being administration that holds it all together. So we call it clinical care or general operations that responds to those 3,600 calls per year. Special operations that goes above and beyond. Something big's going on, we call more people in, we have extra resources, and then our community outreach, CPR and AED and first aid. For many of our sickest patients, if the bystanders, number 1, don't recognize the problem, number 2, don't take some actions before we get there, however long it takes to get there is pretty much useless. So for our sickest patients, it's really important that we're out here talking to folks. You were talking very briefly at the end here about hands-only CPR, but that's a big part of what we think an EMS agency should be doing. And then in healthcare, the healthcare system across the whole, across the U.S., they talk about this triple aim. This is I like to say Obamacare with no insurance and no politics. It is population health, making populations of people, pick a population, healthier, while reducing costs and improving their experience of care. That's what the healthcare system's trying to do if you don't want to talk about politics and health. Politics and insurance. So I gotta take those things. Better health. How do we want to do better health? Not better care, but better health. Two things that we're doing is, number one is that we participate in this thing called EMS Coalition. EMS Coalition is a bunch of like-minded EMS agencies in the region here that just get together once a quarter and we share ideas so that we don't make silly mistakes. We bounce ideas off each other. We work on ways to cooperate. So, in emergency services, specifically the fire service, you hear this shortage of volunteer firefighters. We don't have a shortage per se. We have a shortage of being able to get employees, but it's not like we can't respond like the volunteer fire service sometimes has trouble or what the fear is there. But if we can work together and make better decisions, we can be more sustainable and provide a better service. Bless you. And then we are looking at this thing called community paramedicine. That is using paramedics in roles other than 911 response. In places in the healthcare system where either there's a shortage of folks or they haven't quite figured out a good way to do things. So currently, our organization and numerous others here in the Lehigh Valley are working with one of the hospitals to provide care to heart failure patients when they go home. So a certain subset of heart failure patients go home, and we go out and we check on them in 2 days and 15 days, and we can go to their house anytime, right now in the first 30 days, because we're in a research trial, to provide assessment and even IV medications in the home to hopefully keep them healthier, keep them out of the hospital when they don't need to be there, and reduce costs and improve their experience of care. So many people in EMS think this is the future role of emergency medical services, not no more emergency or less emergency. Clearly, we wanted to be involved in that early on and see what happens. That's where we're at with that. Better cost. Well, that's hard to determine, right? So cost to the patient. If you get an ambulance bill, unfortunately it's expensive. There's no doubt about it. Your average ambulance bill starts at about $600 and goes from there. It is a necessity. So people say, well, you drove me 1 mile, it cost me $700? Well, the reason it cost $700 is because our crews were at the station, ready to go, 24/7 for any emergency, from stub toe to cardiac arrest. So that is that built-in cost that sometimes people have a hard time understanding. Cost to the community, I think we do pretty good there. At $1 per year per municipality for service, I think the townships and municipalities are getting a pretty good service for that. And then cost to the healthcare industry. As the healthcare industry continues to try to wrangle in these unbelievably expenses and increases in cost, luckily EMS is like 1.1% of 1% of the whole healthcare budget. So we haven't seen a lot of the things that other parts of healthcare are seeing yet, but now specifically with the Medicare Advantage plans, we are starting to kind of feel that, where do we need to go? How do we navigate this? And with the how much would Washington affect Macungie ambulance? Well, when Obamacare, I don't want to call it, the healthcare reform came in, everything went to this idea that we're going to start paying based on quality, not on quantity. Now it's on hold. So everyone started building quality, and now we're not getting paid for quality. So we're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. It really does affect and kind of add the whole, we're not really sure what to do yet. And then better care. Lots of way to talk about better care. So I'll go from the patient standpoint. This gentleman here was walking out of the wheels of time 3 years ago, suffered a cardiac arrest. He was 50 feet from a Macungie police officer, about 150 yards from my partner and I in an ATV. Just happened to be there. We did CPR on this gentleman for 19 minutes. 10 minutes of that he was awake and talking with no heartbeat because we were doing such good CPR. So he got excellent patient care. It's a combination of being there, being ready, being trained, and luck. Sometimes it's luck. This is just some other things we do. So this is the gold standard of excellence provided by our regional council, which is the contractor for the Department of Health, which oversee, the Department of Health obviously licenses us, and these are their contract to do it. They gave us this gold standard of excellence. We go above and beyond the basic licensure requirements. This is called Mission Lifeline. This is our 15, but we get this every year now. This talks about the way we treat our heart attack patients. So if you call us for chest pain, yes sir, 5 minutes, got it. If you call us for chest pain and we show up in your house, we will have a 12-lead EKG on you within 5 minutes. Normally in your living room or wherever you are. If we find you're having a heart attack, we will transmit that to the hospital within an additional 5 minutes. If it's at night, they'll be bringing the cath lab and the cardiac surgeon in before we leave your living room. All that does is reduce times, right? So we have to do that 90% of the time to get this award. And this is a CARES reward. This is another award we received. This is actually from the Hospital University of Pennsylvania for some work we did on data entry in the region. We looked at patient satisfaction scores in 2015. We did it ourselves. We'll go to the overall here. 97.9% very satisfied. In 2016, we went to a third party. 99.4% satisfied. Thank you. What is our future? Steve Jobs called me the yardstick of quality. Everything we do is about high quality community based. So we don't take on anything that we don't think we can do very well. We do very few non-emergency transports. We'll do some, but we do very, very few because that's just a whole different animal. How we can work with our partners to best serve the communities that they serve the communities we serve, and respond to the needs in a cost-conscious manner. Work together with our neighbors. So this is our final picture here. This is our new building addition right here. These two bays on the end. This is our entire fleet. What you don't see there is our porta-john. Yes. We have a porta-john that goes out with our incident support unit. It's kind of, you need these type of things. They didn't want me to put it in the picture. It's kind of weird, But the idea being is that this last year was really about growth. We really invested in the building addition, the 5th ambulance. We're really investing on the community. So that is our organization in a nutshell. Let's put this down. So, is there any questions? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna start right here. Yes, sir.
It seems like Lehigh Valley Health Network and St. Luke's are buying up everything.
They are.
Is there any, I guess, fear that they're gonna buy up you guys too? And
fear, no. I would say in Berks County, the health networks out there have already started doing that. Exeter Township EMS and Fleetwood EMS have both been purchased by, let's say, Penn State Hershey. Purchase is an odd thing because we're a 501c3. There's really nothing for them to purchase for us because we can never give them anything. We have to get rid of everything first. Our thoughts on this is that number one, we provide a high-quality community-based service. For these networks to want to come to Rotary meetings, and every municipality meeting, everything that we do, if they really want to take that on, go ahead. I don't know. I work part-time for Medevac, the Lehigh Valley Wing. I don't know that there's a whole lot of interest in that. It's certainly a possibility. We certainly don't worry about it. If they one day start showing up in municipalities and pitching things, we'll kind of cross the bridge when we get there. But we don't worry about it at this point.
I'd like to compliment you on the great job you did for my wife. She was working at McCungy Elementary and she was tripped in the cafeteria by a running student and she fell down and broke her shoulder. You were there in 5 minutes. I got a call from the principal that the ambulance was just leaving for the hospital. I lived 2 minutes from the hospital. By the time I got to the hospital, you were already there. Tremendous job. AAA all the way.
Thank you. I said we hate meeting people like that, but we're happy we provide a good service. Sir.
What's the advantage of being a member of the Ambulance Corp?
So that member is the subscription drive. So number one, it is 15% of our income. It certainly helps us. Number two is if your Medicare or your insurance does not pay your copay, whatever your copay is, we waive the copay for you. That's what you get out of it from a financial standpoint, as well as supporting the ambulance.
Chris, I'm curious, that community paramedicine.
Yes.
How's that cost structure going to work? I know it's a pilot program. Is the intent that that would provide a service the hospitals now providing and supplant it, and you can pay through the hospital, or?
So the payment picture of that is very interesting. This 20-patient pilot, which we just finished up, was a grant funded from the Pool Trust. We are looking to expand it to a 4-year randomized controlled trial with numerous grants to run that, to prove, because lots of people are doing it, no one has proved it worked. How it is hopefully going to work is truly for the healthcare industry to start working on. There are some in the country that insurance companies recognize that, so right now, heart failure patients, any heart failure patient goes back in the hospital within 25 days, Medicare penalizes the hospital. So the hospital has great reason to want to not have them come back. The patient probably doesn't want to come back either. So it's kind of a win-win. Right now, when the patient doesn't come back, the hospital doesn't get paid. Wait a second. So there's a problem there, right? That's where we got halfway, where we penalized the patient, we penalized the hospital for having them come back in the end, but you still get paid if they come back. So we went halfway in this value base. as we continue to shift more towards better care gets you better reimbursement, it will make sense to pay the EMS service, the insurance company, to pay the EMS service for going out and keeping these people healthier at home than it is to pay us to. So ours was $125. We did $125 to go out and visit. If you call 911 and we transport you to the hospital, we charge you $700. Well, why not pay us $125 to keep you home? Because that just saves a ton of money from the insurance side of the world. So unfortunately, those things are much higher than me. Okay, yes, sir.
I noticed when I'm driving around, there's some vehicles that are marked EMT and some are marked paramedic. Do you have those?
Yes, so paramedic is
there
that.
a paramedic on that unit that's marked paramedic?
There should be, yes. Paramedics are the advanced life support level. Our ambulance service always has at least one advanced life support level 24/7. 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. we staff a second ambulance. Most of the time that also has a paramedic on it. Sometimes for numerous reasons it may not, either just a weird staffing day, or honestly sometimes we need to staff ambulances with just EMTs, really to get them some experience. What we don't like to see is new EMTs, a lot of them come to high school, they go to the summer EMT program, they come out, and they drive for paramedics. That doesn't really get them experience in taking care of people well enough. So we like to get our BLS trucks on. A lot of times when we have a basic truck on just EMTs, someone like me will be around in our supervisor vehicle to go out and provide that ALS if needed. So before you all go home, at the back table I have a bunch of stuff you can have. I also have, on the way out, I'd love to give you each one of these. This is a CPR Anytime kit. Inside here is a little DVD about how to do CPR and a blow-up mannequin for CPR. Some of the folks up here were a little concerned why I brought a blow-up mannequin with us. The point is this, a question also came up about legality and things like that. In the last 15 years, we have tried to reduce people's fear of doing CPR. It's a 4.5-hour, 8-hour course to learn CPR. It's not. See somebody collapse, call 911, chest compressions. Middle of their chest, the beat is staying alive. Ooh, 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 staying alive, staying alive. Honestly, it goes like this, like that. All right, so 100 to 120 beats per minute, okay? Watch a video, go on YouTube, 2 minutes. It really is very simple. So I leave this guy up here back on the table. I have these kits out on your way out. I have a whole ton of them. American Heart Association has given us and a group in the Lehigh Valley thousands of these $35 each kit to give out. I literally have 8 pallets in our bay currently. So please take one, spend 5 minutes watching the video, 5 minutes practicing, teach 2 other people, and we can train 100,000 people how to do CPR. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. A real high-energy presentation. I really appreciate that, and I don't think we've had anybody tie up their talk by imitating John Travolta. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.